Well, welcome to At Home. We're so glad you could join us today. It's always nice to have friends drop by. And I do count all of you out there as friends. You express yourself so beautifully in letters when you write and tell some of the deep innermost feelings that you have. And I do appreciate that, because I know that I only express to friends my deep feelings. And when you do that to me, I know you count me as a friend, and that's important to me. I know that sometimes there's some things that you're going through that are very difficult, and sometimes you can't say them to anybody else, but you write them in a letter to me because you feel that I'll listen to them, and I do. And when you ask me to pray for your family, I pray for them. Pray for our sponsors every day, people that make this program possible, and my viewers like you, who are my friends, because if you weren't watching, we wouldn't be here. There'd be no need for us to be here. So I thank you for tuning in when At Home comes on the air each week. Today we're going to talk about apples, A-P-P-L-E-S, all different kinds, red Rome, Jonathan, Macintosh, all kinds. And I've got a few varieties here in front of me. I'll start on this side. This is a Macintosh apple. You can see that it has not as shiny a skin as maybe some of the other apples, but this is a good cooking apple. If you want to make applesauce, you want to make apple pies, apple dumplings, sliced apples with some butter and brown sugar and cinnamon on them, bake them. This is what you want to do. Fried apples, this is excellent. Right next to it is an apple, and it's a Red Delicious. And when I think of a Red Delicious and I see the shine that's on it, I always think this is the one you take to the teacher. You know, we're back to school now. This is the one that you take to the teacher and you say, "Gee, teacher, I really like you. Think I could cut an A on that test?" Well, I think it takes more than an apple. Anyway, right next to it is another in the Delicious family. This is a Golden Delicious apple. These are brother and sister, I guess you'd call them. And next to that is a Granny Smith. Now, Granny Smith are a tart, a crunchy apple. A good Granny Smith, when you take a bite, will crack because they taste so good. These last three, sorry, the middle two are very good eating apples, just to pick up an apple and eat. The Granny Smith is a good apple either way. If you like a tart apple, it's good to eat. If you like a tartness in your apple pies, it is also a good baking apple. I like the flavor that makes it an apple pie because it's got the tart, and then you sweeten it down with the sugar or whatever. It makes a delicious pie. Well, today on our program, we've got some good, exciting apple recipes. Now, I know that a lot of you remember making apple butter as little kids maybe, or that your parents have told you about how they used to have to stir the apple butter out in the yard, and they would have it in a big copper kettle, and they had to stir and stir so it wouldn't stick. Mom used to tell me of that story that she used to do when she was a little girl. Well, I'm making apple butter today, and we're roasting it in the oven, and honest, it tastes so good. We're also going to do some baked apples in the microwave, and a wonderful Waldorf salad. Of course, we know that the main ingredient in a Waldorf salad is apples. And then something called apple dumpling rolls. Yes, it's a pastry. It's got apples in it and a syrup that you pour over it. Bake it in the oven, bring it out. Oh, I want to tell you, we better get going because we got lots to do today, and we'll get things started right after this important message. Please stick with us. Here's today's at-home hint. To restore crispness to spinach, lettuce, or other greens, soak them for just a few minutes in water with a little vinegar added.
If you have an at-home hint, a favorite recipe, or just a friendly greeting you'd like to share, we'd like to hear from you. Post it in the comments of this video or visit our Facebook page.
Well, we're going to begin with our apple dumpling rolls. I've taken 4 cups of flour. Now, you can do this by hand, but it's just quicker and easier for me to do it with the mixer. And you're going to have the dough hook on if you're going to make this at home. 4 cups of flour, and then I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt, right? And about 4 tablespoons, more or less, of sugar. And now hold on to your seats. 8 teaspoons of baking powder. I questioned the girl. I said, are you sure 8 teaspoons? She said, yes, 8 teaspoons. Because what this is going to do, it's going to cause the apple rolls to really puff up in that dough. It's the only leavening that's in it at all. It's kind of a puffier dough than a flat pastry, not like a pie crust. It's not a crust, it's a dough. So I'm just mixing up the dry ingredients here a little bit. And then I'm going to add 8 tablespoons of shortening. Now, I like to put my shortening in cold. I like to keep it in the fridge, as a matter of fact, because if you do, it makes a flakier and a better type of crust. I just have had better success when it's cold, when the shortening is cold. Let me shut this down and put this in because I just have a feeling this flour is going to go everywhere if I don't. And what we're going to do is you cut the shortening in like for pie dough. And you know that that's just, you make sure you don't put any liquids with it. It's just the flour and the shortening that you're using. And that's all that's in there. And when it gets to little morsels, you know you've arrived. Okay? I'm going to give this a quick shot here. Now to this, we're going to add 1 1/3 cups of milk. Make sure let's just use some safety here and scrape down the sides to make sure that we have it right. Okay. Start it up again. Now I'm going to add the milk all at one time. Now you're going to gather this. You're not going to let this beat and beat and beat, because if you do, you'll have a tough dough. So once this starts to come together, you know you're going to have your dough. Push this down on the sides to make sure it comes together. Now I'm going to see, it's very moist yet because there's a lot of flour on the sides that have not been incorporated in with the rest of the ingredients. So let's give that another couple of whirls around the pan. Meanwhile, what you'll need for this is about 7 or 8 apples that you want to chop fine. You don't want the apples to be real big or thick pieces. These apples have been cut very fine. Believe it or not, we have put an ascorbic acid on that to keep them from turning brown, but I think the lights cause the condition that this starts to get very brown. All right, when you get to this point, you're there. And all you're going to do is clean off the dough. Okay. And put some flour out on your board. And we're going to clean the dough and everything that's in the pan. Doesn't matter that it's not all put together. Don't worry about that. When we get done with it, it will be. You just don't want it to beat and beat and beat in there, because you're going to have a very tough dough if you do that. All right? Now what you do here is you just push and squeeze to get this dough to come together. You could let it in there a little longer if you wanted to, but you don't. This is not bread dough that you need and need and need. You don't do that. You just kind of push it together until it sticks together. Okay? Sometimes it takes a little longer than others. Not to worry, it'll all come together. See how it's forming already? You can see it's not that hard to do. This is it's a sweet dough. You notice that we've put sugar in it because that's what the recipe calls for. That's what makes it unlike a pie dough. Pie dough you don't put sugar in because it's a pastry and it's not supposed to be sweet. It's supposed to be flaky and crisp. And then your fillings is what the sweetness comes from. Well, if you've ever had a good apple dumpling, you'll know what that tastes like. If you feel like you've got some excess flour, just keep pushing it to the side, because this is almost there. I'm going to roll it one more time. Push it together with your hands. You'll want to do that. Your oven should be on a hot oven, 450 degrees. That's a hot oven. Usually we bake stuff at 350, 375, sometimes 400, but 450. But what you'll do is cause this to instantly become, you'll start it to baking instantly. It doesn't bake that long, so you have to cook those apples though, so that takes some time. Now what you do, you divide your dough into 3 equal parts. All right? Now, push some of that flour, not too much flour because you don't want it to be dry. little bit back out there, and put your dough out. We're going to roll this into a circle of about 8 inches. How many of these I'll get to do for you, but at least you'll get to see it. Feels like it's a little bit wet. Just lightly add some more dough to it. Don't put a lot of dough on it. Like I've told you so many times before, the kind of weather that you have can affect if it's humid outside, if it's if it's raining, if it's just a dreary day or whatever. Sometimes, you know how the weather affects our spirits, it affects the outcome of what you're baking too. Now you have this out. You don't want it to go too much thinner than that. Important not to. Now I'm going to add a little bit of cinnamon to my apples, just like this. Now you can do that to them when they're like that, or you can wait until you get the rolls made and then put that on top. But I think I'm going to like it better this way. And we'll just mix them up. And then you'll spoon 1/3 of this mixture onto the dough. And you'll spread it out like you're going to make nut rolls or something like that. That's the same principle. You're going to keep one end of it where you don't have much, because that's where you're going to have to seal the seam of it. And if you put too much on the end, you know what'll happen? It'll cook out. You won't get a good seal. So you push them all out. Now there's no sugar on these apples. This is just plain raw apples that you've chopped fine. And starting at the one end, you're going to start to roll it. Right? Start rolling. Now, I can tell that I've had a little bit of dryness here, so I'm going to just add a little flour back here so that I don't have a problem. Now, we've got our jelly roll made. We want to push it together to kind of seal the ends. And then we're going to cut these into 2-inch pieces the whole way down. You get about 4 to 5 rolls, and you lay them on the side, just like this, in the pan. Don't lay the one next to it right up to it, but lay it close by, because these are going to puff up as you're baking them. Okay? Should I do one more, you think? Why not? Let's do one more. Because then, as you're rolling this out, in a saucepan, you're going to put 2 cups of water and 1.5 cups of sugar. And you're making a syrup. Now that syrup, that's where the dumpling comes in, because that's the syrup that you put over dumplings. And again, keep checking the dough. This is a fragile dough. You can't like whip this stuff around every which way. I hope we're not going to run out of time here, because I really see how fast I can do this. Tell you, apples are so good, and this time of the year they're so plentiful. And when you get to tasting them, and you get apple cider, and you make homemade applesauce, and come home and there's an apple pie, you go, oh, whoa, this is what I call good. Again, you're going to roll them. Okay. And you're going to try to seal. Some little pieces may fall out. Don't worry about them. And again, you cut them every 2 inches. Should get about 4 out of each roll. This will make 12. Now, see, I didn't seal that well, and that one's coming apart. You could make them to this point and put them on this cookie sheet and put them in your freezer. And I'll tell you what, when someone drops by, you don't even have to thaw these out. All you have to do is bring them out, put them on a cookie sheet, pour the syrup over them. When you freeze them on a cookie sheet, after they're solid, then wrap them individually. And just put them in and bake them for the normal time. You've got fresh apple dumpling rolls. Now, what I'm going to do with this is make sure that they seal good, because they'll cook open. Now I'm going to sprinkle a little sugar just on the top, because that's what it says to do. My friend said her family loves these. The syrup that you're pouring on them is not going to come clear up in the pan. And the other thing you're going to add is just a little bit more of the, of the cinnamon. Now my suggestion here is, why couldn't you put some raisins in that? Why couldn't you put some walnuts if you like that? Use your imagination. All kinds of things you can make. If your kids, you know, if they really are into nuts, put some different kinds, put some pecans in there, put some walnuts in there, put whatever you want. It's wonderful. Now, the syrup, and this is the tricky part. We're going to pour this syrup in the pan, and all it is 2 cups of water and 1.5 cups of sugar, sorry. Make sure that these all get submerged. Pour it over the top, it's not going to hurt it. You say, but Arlene, what's going to happen to the rolls? They're going to bake. They're going to be so good. 450 degrees for 20 to 25 minutes. Check them after 20. If they start to get real brown, then you're going to want to maybe turn it down to about 425 and bake another 5 minutes. This has to be preheated and really hot. Be careful at this point so you don't dump this syrup all over you as you get it into the oven. In 25 minutes, you've got apple dumplings.
Do you love watching At Home with Arlene Williams? Then be sure to check out our new YouTube channel. It's filled with classic episodes from over 20 years of At Home, and more videos are added each day. And don't forget to click the subscribe button so you'll never miss another episode of At Home.
Now, let's see. Let me clean up here a little bit. I want to show you the next unusual thing that we've made. And I told you about the apple butter, and I remember Mom making apple butter, and I remember that was a big deal. She used to tell us how fall of the year that was her job. She had to stir it. Well, there's a new recipe out, and I found this, maybe it isn't so new since I found it in an old cookbook, that you make this. This is apple butter that you make in the oven. Now you take, it starts out with a gallon of applesauce, right out of the can. If you can't get it in the can, get jars that will equal 1 gallon. Then we take 4 cups of sugar, 6 tablespoons of cinnamon, and you know those little red cinnamon candies that we all love around Valentine's Day? You take 1 cup of those. So you have to buy, sometimes they're like in half-cup packages. Get 2 of those. And we didn't want to tie up the oven today because we were using it for so many other things, so I have a roaster. And I put that in my roaster. Now this is the apple butter after roasting at 350 degrees for 2 hours. This is apple butter. I want to tell you something. When you taste that, you're going to say, oh, Arlene, I got to have that recipe. This stuff is so incredible. What I would do, I save the jars. I would keep this refrigerated. And once I had made it, and I was at that point, then I would fill a jar up like this, and I would put it in my refrigerator, and I would bring it out and use it just as I needed it. Or I would use it in small quantities, put it in some smaller covered containers. How about this in a dozen of biscuits for a new neighbor moving into the neighborhood? Or how about this for an aunt who remembers what good apple butter tasted like, but no way she's going to make it because she just can't do it anymore. How about that with a nice big loaf of bread? This is so simple, so easy, and just keep it refrigerated. It tastes like the good old-fashioned apple butter that we all used to know and love. All right, I'm going to leave that go. There's some other things I wanted to show you how to make. We're going to bake some apples, and I call these Arlene's baked apples because she's the one who told me how to do this. She takes an apple and cores it, peels it, and she stuffs some raisins down in the center. Now this is a microwave dish, okay? So you put some raisins in there, put a few walnuts down in there. This is so easy, I'm embarrassed to tell you how easy this is, but it tastes good, especially when good fresh ripe apples are in season. Sprinkle a few more on top. Now I said, well, Arlene, what do you sweeten it with? Well, she said, there's a lot of different ways. You can use the brown sugar method, which is you just sprinkle brown sugar and pack it on the top. Or you can do the, see if it's open. No, it's not. Oh, there it is. Okay. This is the maple syrup one, and you just drizzle that going down the side of it. Or you take honey and you just pour it over the top, because any of these things will add sweetness to it. All right. And let's see. Let's make another one with the maple syrup. And that will go down inside, and that will absolutely affect that apple for sweetness. Then she says I put it in the microwave, which we'll do, for just about 5 minutes. And she said when you get this out of the oven, it's so tender, and that little bit of moistness from the sweetener sweetens the apple and makes it brown on the outside, which is something that we want. Well, let's see, I've done just about everything. The only one that I have yet to do is we're going to make our salad. Told you, a Waldorf salad. I really need to clean up here just a minute. Excuse me. I can't handle it when everything is a mess. Let me do a little maintenance here. Afraid I feel like I'm very organized today. Do you ever feel that way in the kitchen? I feel like, oh my goodness. But we're going to make it. Okay. A lot of you ask, well, what do you do with that food? You know, all that stuff that you're preparing. I'll tell you, in this kitchen we have a variety of the things that we prepare in all different stages of preparation. So your guess is as good as ours. We don't know exactly what all we've got to do here. Well, this is a Waldorf salad, which is absolutely one of the easiest salads you're ever going to make. Because again, the basis for it is apples. And we've used the eating apple, which is the Red Delicious, right? This is about 4 cups. Let me see, about 4 cups? Yeah, something like that. Get my recipe over here. And, well, it's a pound, which is about 4 apples. And we're going to take, we've just cored them. We've left the red on because the skin is good. They've been washed. Then we're going to add some celery. Celery has a crunch to it, and that's good with apples. And we're going to add some raisins. This is about a cup of seedless raisins. Walnuts are a big part of a Waldorf salad. And to my mayonnaise, I'm going to add some lemon juice. I think I'll use the fresh lemon juice. And what we'll do here is just mix it up and pour it on all the ingredients in the bowl, which will make a wonderful Waldorf salad. This is nice if you're going to have like a luncheon or somebody coming over in the fall and you just want to do something special, something different. I think you would enjoy this, maybe with a little fruity bread like a date nut bread or banana bread or something like that. It would be a nice addition for this. This is about a cup of mayonnaise. We've used the reduced mayonnaise with this. And get my little scraper here. Some nice muffins would be great with this for our salad, to go with this salad. And we want to mix it very well. But you don't want to get in there and mash up the apples. So just kind of mix it around lightly. And while we're finishing this, we're going to take a break and tell you how you can get today's recipes. We'll be right back in just a minute.
Just go to ctvn.org/at-home to get all the recipes from today's show for free. That's right, no subscriptions. They're available online at no cost, and more are being added each day. So join us at ctvn.org/at-home to get today's recipes now.
And here they are in their final presentation for you. Here's our Waldorf salad. Isn't that beautiful? Very nutritious and very, very good. Very tasty. Next to it is Arlene's baked apples, right fresh from the microwave with the raisins and the walnuts. Delicious. Good accompaniment for any kind of a meal. And our apple butter. As this chills down, because it's really hot, it will thicken. As you can see, it has gotten thicker and thicker. Linda made us up some delicious biscuits. She makes good biscuits. And we're going to take one of these and show you the consistency of this apple butter. Okay, everybody's mouth is drooling here, we can tell. What more could you want? Maybe on a piece of bread, crusty bread. These are my apple rolls, apple dumpling rolls. I'm going to show you, we're going to serve you up one. This is just a suggestion. You see, because you've put that syrup on them, they don't have a hard bottom to them at all. It's a very moist dough, a very soft dough. And as my dad used to do with apple dumplings, he always poured milk over the top. Little milk on top of that apple dumpling roll. Now we've stirred up some suggestions for you, and I hope you'll take them to heart. And this week, make something good with some good, fresh apples. You know the old saying is, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Well, I think an apple a day will just keep you in some real good health. So why not try it? And like I always say, be sure to join us the next time, because it just wouldn't be the same without you here at home. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Don't forget to click the subscribe button so you'll never miss another episode of At Home. Thank you for watching.
Fresh produce provided by Jordan Banana, wholesalers of fresh fruit and vegetables in Dravosburg, PA. Cookware provided by Woolies. Your favorite gourmet deserves the best for less from Woolly Balcony Cookware. Groceries provided by Foodland, where the answer is always yes. Cornerstone Television wishes to thank all our faithful viewers whose consistent prayers and financial support have made this program possible.